All right, we're going. The live stream is moving.
They'll have to figure out how to burn down the world all by themselves on the chat, because I'm not on it.
All right.
Yeah, we don't have anybody in the chat. Let's see if I can figure that out. Pete had a malfunction. We seem to have lost a piece of equipment. So if anybody would like to donate, just give us a call. 646-VIRUS01. That's
Right.
646-VIRUS01.
We'll figure out a Venmo for you to send to.
You send it to mine.
I have a backup laptop, but I'd have to do a whole bunch of stuff to it to get it to work at this point.
Oh, so you'll have it working by next week, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I should have that wrapped up by next week.
That's
But you're open to
Or
donation.
I'll figure out how to, like I said, I've got a screen and I can locate my HDMI cable when I'm not like harried, going around and just rooting in every box that I have.
But you're open to donations.
I am always open to donations.
All right. All right, you guys ready? Yeah, cool.
This week on the Media Virus Podcast, hide and seek champion ruins Christmas. Tiny ancient statue with enormous penis located in England is likely not an effigy of an Englishman or of Big Daddy. The source of widespread boners across 7 decades, Barbara Eden still has it at 91. She bought it from talented doctors, but she has it nonetheless. All this, author John Bennardo, Maddie's TikTok Nonsense Corner, some real talk with the guys. Stanley brings us more Just the Tips and a special report on Rap Snacks on this, the 123rd episode of the Media Virus Podcast. It's the Media Virus Podcast. Let's point and laugh at the world burning around us with executive producer Mike Latoris. We're going to start over. BBC correspondent Stanley McFadden.
Makes me tingly in an unfamiliar way.
Grease Monkey Pete.
Damn, Big Daddy.
Here's the thing about the Media Virus Podcast. It's really well done.
And now, spreading the sage nihilism of an aged Gen Xer, your host and mine, the star of our show, the incomparable Maddie Rockdeath.
Hot damn, do we have a show for you people this week. I am Maddie Rockdeath, the mattiest of all Rockdeaths, and proof positive that anyone can have a podcast. Speaking of, welcome to the Media Virus Podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, share. I want to take a minute and thank all of the new subscribers that we've gotten. Thank you very, very much. If you want to give us a call, you can give us a call at 646-VIRUS01. That is 646-VIRUS01. And you might make it on the show. You can call us anytime. You don't have to call us while we're doing the show. You can call us and leave a message. And then we'll play your stupid message, whatever dumb shit you have to say. We'll play it. And that's how you get on the podcast. Isn't that exciting? That is exciting. Anyway, we're going to find out more in B Block about this week's guest. He is a writer, a producer, a documentarian, and the author of Just a Typo, the cancellation of Mo Riverdale, which is available on Amazon. Mr. John Bennardo. John, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on. It's Mo River Lake. Do you get my name right? You got to get my main character's name right. Riverdale, I think. You're thinking of Archie and Jughead. That's not quite where we are.
I sincerely apologize.
That's okay. It's fine.
I wrote out what looks like river. So because I ran out of room on the page.
It's all right. As long as you got my name right? That's the most.
I guess that's that, but it's just a typo. The cancellation of Mo River Lake, and it is available on Amazon. You can get a paperback, you can get a Kindle, or you can get. I was really pissed off to find out 10 minutes ago that you could be an audiobook, and I've been reading all week. Let me tell you about. I hate reading, but I did. I tell you what, I really did enjoy. I'm sorry, I haven't finished it yet. I'm on page like 145. and I was just telling Mike how much he would enjoy some of the little details, in the book that I guess we can delve into, more later on in the show. I did want to fill, and I didn't notice this before, and it's kind of just a weird coincidence, because I had mentioned last week on last week's program that my niece was being taken out of being taken out of the ICU, and she was being put into what they call comfort care, where they were not going to, she was from the chemo and the cancer and everything. She was so weak that if they had tried to attempt any kind of reviving, it would have collapsed her rib cage. So my niece she lost her fight on Monday. So I just wanted to fill in everybody, on that. And so my head's been everywhere. So I've been actually kind of thankful, for having to read John's book, because it's been a distraction. It's been something else, I've had to just to distract me and take me out of, the grief and such. And I did see that, you had a battle with cancer.
Yeah, in fact, I'm so sorry, like shocked here to come on the show and be ready to laugh and hear that news. I'm sorry for that loss. I mean, I'm thinking of myself, how fortunate I am. I had cancer. In fact, today is March 15th, correct?
Yeah.
38 years ago on this very day, the Ides of March, I had a surgery to remove the cancerous tumor from my left leg, osteogenic sarcoma. I don't remember much of the day because I was under anesthesia for pretty much all of it, 11-hour surgery. And that's the day I look back on as the day that, again, I feel horrible saying this now with your loss, but I mean, that saved my life. I've saved my leg, saved my life. I'm walking around still today. It's amazing. So, but that's 38 years ago on this very date, which is amazing that I'm here on the show and you're talking about that.
Yeah, no, I have this ability to have a very like gallows humor. And it was one of those things where I was going to bring it up anyway because I brought it up last week, and I hope that people that I love pay attention to what I'm doing. And I didn't want it to go without being mentioned, and bring everything down and then kind of bring everything back up again. But you think about things like people die all the time, and it's when it hits close that you really starts to affect you, and you start to count your own blessings. So, I'm thankful to have you here. I'm thankful that you wrote the book. I'm thankful that, I'm thankful that you're here talking to us now. Who, somebody who's not here, is the hide and seek champion of,
a woman finds her husband's body while getting Christmas decorations from a closet 8 months after he went missing. An Illinois man reported missing last April was found dead 8 months later in a hideaway closet at his home. According to Fox,
he was just hiding from his kids.
Maybe. I mean,
did they say he got stuck?
According to Fox affiliate KTVI, Madison County Coroner's Office confirmed last week that Richard Mage, 53, had died by suicide. No,
shit.
He wasn't just hiding from his kids.
Oh, I thought he got stuck.
Apparently not. The outlet reported that Richard disappeared on April 27th last year after calling his wife, Jennifer, to tell her that he was leaving work early. But Jennifer couldn't find or contact him after she returned to their house in Troy, where his car was parked outside. During an initial search of the home, police were unable to locate the missing man. Later, a second search was conducted at the home after Jennifer complained of a smell. As Jennifer prepared for the holidays on December 11th, she went to look.
John, you remember how I mentioned that I hate reading? I did not know this was a suicide story. I thought the guy got stuck and it was like a
missing person.
Yeah. And so it's my fault.
went to look for Christmas decorations in a storage area behind a clothes cupboard under the staircase in the home. She recalled to the Belleville News Democrat. I guess that's the local paper. That's where she found her husband's body 8 months after he was last seen. I decided to put up the Christmas tree and was looking for a tote of Christmas ornaments, and that's when I discovered him, she said. He had committed suicide.
Oh, wait, okay. So he didn't go looking for, like, he wasn't hiding presents and got stuck.
Doesn't look that way, no.
I was really lost. Sorry.
Report from Madison County Coroner Steve Nahn released on Thursday and cited by KTVI confirmed Richard died by suicide. No evidence of foul play was found during the autopsy.
Is there a timestamp in the link list? Because I would really like to know what time of day I posted. I sent this over because I could not. I had to be in the morning.
Oh, I can pull that up. I have to get back to the list. I don't have it in.
Oh, it's not that important right now, but
we'll check it later.
Damn. So when did he go missing? Did it say?
The 27th of April.
Oh wow.
Kelly Rogers, the county's chief deputy coroner, told the outlet that police noticed a sewer-like smell inside the residence, which they described as a hoarder home.
So the residence was like a hoarder home.
That's what she said. That's what they say. Rogers told KTVI that the body was in a mummified state, explaining that it might not have had a strong odor, which could be why it took so long to find it. Jennifer told the News Democrat that the family held a funeral for Richard in January. She said she understands why police missed Richard's body, telling the outlet that they wouldn't.
What is a fucking shithole? I don't know. I don't know how we almost didn't find him at all. With the smell, I thought that there was a cat smell like that a little while back, but it was like
apparently a hidden closet. So I mean,
hidden closet. Everything was hidden. If it was, did they have pictures of the house?
No. They've
found a miniature statue with a giant dick.
No, but they found one of those in England. Metal detectorists thought they found a split pin. It was actually a 2,000-year-old Celtic statue with an enormous penis.
Well, it was Celtic.
Of course,
it had enormous penis.
An English couple found a miniature figurine.
You have an image of this thing?
Yes. I was going to give you some details, but we can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can start with a look.
I want to step on you.
We can start with a look. So here we go. A little face. It looks like it was a keychain. You see the loop on the back of the head there?
Wait, does it move? All right, so
it appears to be hinged.
It's a hinged.
it's a hinged phallus.
That's a door knocker.
No, you put it on the bedroom door, right? And then when she's in the mood, she flip it up, and then you knew, right? And then
well, when you get there, if it's up, you can hang your coat on it.
These guys got no arms or legs, though. Just cock.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. It's true.
Probably carved by a woman, if you had to ask me. Let's see here. Statue of a small man with a really big bronze penis. In his right hand was found, apparently he does have arms. In his right hand was found in an English field last year and could sell for hundreds at auction in the coming weeks, according to a release by the auction house Noonan's. Paul Shepard, who has been a detectorist for 25 years, and his wife Julie were at a detector rally in Hackenby, Lincolnshire, when they were alerted to something buried beneath the stubble field. After digging 10 inches into the ground, the couple recovered what they thought was a split pin, which is a tool used to fasten bolts. After taking a harder look at the figure, the couple realized that it actually had a 2-inch tall Celtic age statue with an oversized moving member. Oh, I've got another photo.
Oh, we got more photos. That's good.
The penis pendant is to be put up for auction in Mayfair, London on March 8th and 9th. So it apparently has happened by now. It could bring an estimated 8 to 1,200 pounds, which would be up to $1,440.
No one's gonna pay $1,400 for a dick that doesn't vibrate, dude.
You'd be surprised. There's some collectors out there. Nigel Mills, a consultant of coins and artifacts at Newman's, said that in a statement that there was
He runs the penis division of Newman's. What's that?
There's nothing quite like it.
I've never seen a cock that nice.
The statue dates back to the 1st century AD and could have been a fertility idol based on the Roman god Mercury. This male figure, with its hinged, oversized phallus, would have had symbolic powers of good luck and warding off evil spirits that may have served as a locking mechanism or a buckle to hold a belt and scabbard for a sword.
Like something from a pirate's.
Oh, with a belt and a sheath for your sword.
No, it gives me an oversized hinged phallus.
No, but I bet you'll tell me.
Old episodes of I Dream of Jeannie.
Every one of us, right? So I Dream of Jeannie starred Barbara Eden, 91. Really looks ageless at this Beverly Hills event. And honestly, there's some photos here. It's really spectacular. I was surprised. And she has paid some really talented doctors to make this happen, I'm sure. But I mean, she doesn't necessarily look like she did in the series, but
I mean, for a 91, dude, my dad's 91, and he doesn't look anything like that.
No,
we all watched that show.
Yeah, we all
watched that show with the hope that there would be some sort of wardrobe malfunction,
nipple slip,
whatever,
or maybe that they'd show her belly button once.
One of my favorite memories was is my friend Aaron. He brought over the Andrew Dice Clay tape, and if you remember, do you know the bit I'm talking about?
Not specifically, no.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about. He goes, if I had a genie, and go ahead, I'll let you tell it. It's your story.
No. He says part of it is he says, if I was Major Nelson, I would stand across the room and have her make her tongue 10 feet long. And then he goes on, he says, yeah, and if you got close enough to the screen, you could see Bush. Barbara Eden.
Yeah, how about it?
Not quite as hot. Who's the actress? I can't remember the fucking name. Played Princess Leia.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher.
Dude, how many times in Return of the Jedi where they're swinging off of Jabba the Hutt's major vessel onto that smaller vessel, have you paused to try to catch Carrie Fisher's bush? Because you swore to God, you could see it. It's like, wait a minute, there it is. That I don't know if that got paused more or the midget that supposedly hanged himself at the Wizard of Oz. Do you know what I'm talking about, John?
Yeah.
Well, there's also Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Apparently, the animators who would get bored drawing frame by frame by frame would drop a nipple slip in there. And now, in the age of DVDs, we're actually in that age of DVDs because we're beyond that now. People would go frame by frame where you really couldn't do that in the theaters, of course, or TV. And we'll find that frame where you can see Ariel's nipple slip.
Back to Carrie Fisher for a second. Do you know what George Lucas did? He convinced Carrie Fisher not to wear underwear
in that
for the role.
For the role at all.
For the role, because he convinced her that being in an advanced society, they had, surpassed having to wear underwear.
They just didn't need it anymore.
Just didn't need it anymore.
I feel like that movie would, dude, the whole saga would be completely different if they made Princess Leia wear panties. And did they make her wear panties in the last three?
God, I hope so.
You know what I mean? You had to wear Depends probably. Oh man.
Han Solo would have him around the rearview mirror of the Millennium Falcon.
Never tell me the odds.
Chewie's in the corner chewing the crotch out of him. Like, we're all dog owners, so we all get the reference.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, there's a Lando Calrissian bit in there somewhere.
Not sure.
But my Billy D's not that good, so. But yeah, Barbara Eden, I mean, thinking back, but all those reruns, they really they taught us what hard-ons were all about. I mean, Barbara Eden, Susan Day, Maureen McCormick. Those are my three anyway.
Yeah.
What about fuck, I can't remember her name. Tootie from The Facts of Life.
Just a set of cans.
Yeah. Tootie. Then there was Corky from Life Goes On.
I was thinking more of Blair from Facts of Life.
You got the reference. Was Tootie the fat one?
No.
Tootie
that was Mindy Cohn was I forget what her name was. Tootie was the black girl.
Garrett had a nice set of tits.
Well, that goes without saying.
We're listing off, wait a minute, dude, Who's the Boss was a treasure trove.
Oh.
Think about it. You had every age group. You had the, you had
Light.
you had the teenagers.
Alyssa Milano.
You had the
Oh yeah, that's right. Alyssa
and
Milano.
later on you had Charlie, what's her name? From the Kevin James, his wife, or on
Leah
Remini?
King of Queens. Leah Remini. She played Charlie on Who's the Boss? Like another runaway girl or whatever. Something like that.
Wow. Look at you being Who's the
Must
Boss?
have checked out after a certain point. Missed that one.
Well, I think that closes out our A block. You can always give us a call at 646-VIRUS-01. You can check out everything The Media Virus at themediavirus.com. You can even send me an email, Maddie@themediavirus.com. You can send one to PML or just Pete at themediavirus.com. Did I miss anything, Mike?
No, I think that's about it. You reminded everybody you can dial 1-646-VIRUS-01. They can go to themediavirus.com, and we'll be back right after this. All right, that's the A block. Quick, dirty, lots of information, none of it relevant to anything.
That's what makes a great show.
Usually, yeah. Our best shows don't have a whole lot of substance.
When it gets deep, which just gets boring.
Save.
Yeah, our podcast unit bumper.
I think I have it in audio because I didn't update the video this week. With going back to work, it was a little tough getting everything done on time.
Let it go this time. Don't let it happen again.
So all this is live, but then you obviously edit the final audio podcast.
Yes, like we're not recording audio right now.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Mike is saving what we just produced, and now we're going to be starting into the next.
But those that are watching live would be watching all the
those that are watching
in between. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, because behind the scenes,
we thought it would be a fun,
And that way, if you typically catch us as an audio, you can always go back to see something if you.
Oh right,
you're missing.
What were they saying during the break, kind of thing,
or even to hey, that was a funny bit. They were talking about this thing that was on screen. I can go back and look at it. And
right, go watch it later.
Where did I put it?
I don't know.
Huh. Well, I'll just assign it to a button over here and we'll make it work.
So you guys are all located where? Because you're obviously not in the same room.
Well, we're all in Delaware.
Scenic Delaware.
Scenic. So you could get in the car and go get a burger after if you wanted.
If we wanted to. And the three of us used to do a different podcast over somebody's house, which we'd all go to. And then the pandemic kind of broke that up.
Mm.
That format, that concept didn't really work well in a virtual environment. So after a little bit of a hiatus, me and Mike got bored and decided that we should do a show. And I had the YouTube channel. So we just kind of picked the name and just kind of started. And, you know, one of us had to be, because honestly, like I've been with like doing, like my name is, my stage name is Matty Rock Def. I used to, you know, be a part of an internet radio station called Rock Def Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started doing that, we all launched our own personnel, like our own, you know, Matty Rock Def, Ed Rock Def. We all had, you know, this separate, like, you know, Facebook and online personalities. And then when that went away, I just kind of kept it. And the Media Virus was the name of my first band. So I'm real big on when I find something I like, I stick with it.
Why not?
So that's kind of how all of this kind of happened.
Let's see if this. In the podcast production system, there are two separate but equally important groups: the guests who think they have something to say, and the hosts who completely exploit them. These are their stories. I think that's where I'll go. I don't think we need to do all the audio, right? Or do we?
No, it's fine.
In the podcast production system.
No, I use the short one.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And we're back in the B block on the Media Virus podcast, and it's the special podcast unit. In the podcast production system, there are two separate but equally important groups: the guests who think they have something to say, and the hosts who completely exploit them. These are their stories.
All right, so we're sitting here with John Bennardo. He is the author of Just a Typo, the cancellation of Mo River Lake. How's it going, John? How's the reception been? Your book's been on sale for a while. How's everything going?
Yeah, it was a bestseller when it came out. I credit that to someone who helped me launch it. Told him pretty steady. I mean, I'm not getting rich off the book, but I don't have to. I love people reading it. I love people like yourself telling me whether they read half of it or the whole thing, that they are laughing on every page, because that's kind of how I crafted it. I just enjoy the process of creating. If I can make myself laugh, that's step one. And then knowing that other people are getting some joy out of it. So that's all great. I mean, you know, I was doing other things for a while, and I went back to my roots as a writer and wrote this book, and I'm really proud of it. And I'm happy it's out there. You know, because some people start books and never finish.
I mean, like I said, I'm not. I've told you before, I'm not an avid reader by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I always say if God wanted us to read, He wouldn't have invented movies. But but I haven't. I've been reading it, and I've been like, well, what happens? Like, and you know, at first you're like, well, what the fuck's he being? You know, what the fuck's going on? Like, why? And it leaves you a lot of questions, and they get answered in dribs and drabs. And there's these little fun little details like that. It's hard. I was telling Mike, I said it reads like watching Johnny Dangerously. If that makes, I don't know if I hope, but it's, you know, with there's so much detail in it, but it's all necessary. And it's like, okay, what? All right. Wow. And it's just like all of this, it kind of skips around a lot, but I've been in I think the point I'm trying to make is I'm going to finish it. I enjoyed reading it. But how much of Mo River Lake is in John Bennardo, like,
or vice versa? Yeah,
or vice versa. Yeah,
yeah. So I wouldn't call myself the level of idiot that he is. All right, so that's obviously I would have to think I'm smarter than he is. But some of the things he does are experiences I've experienced. I mean, chapter 4 with the electric socket in 7th grade. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
I did that. That's me. I actually did that. I don't know if I want to tell your audience what it is, but you can buy it and go to chapter 4 and get to the end of that chapter. But yeah, I did that. That was a stupid middle school thing that I did. So you put it in the book. Murray's Deli, where he works at one point, I worked there. So those are Murray's an actual person who I embellished for the book. So there's a lot of
Did Murray
me in
really
it.
have the what the fuck was it? Kosher entel?
No, that I made up.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, no, I know.
I
I wish,
wanted
right?
some-
Because
I
when you
oh,
think of
fuck.
ideas like that, you go, God, that's really great. I wish that were true. But no, I made that up. So I was happy. Because you know why? Because you haven't finished reading the book yet. But I don't know if I should summarize the book real quick for your audience. Do I need to give a quick summary so they understand the context?
Well, I guess without giving away too much. Yeah, if you want
Yeah, no, it's about a guy that it's a celebrity. Mo Riverlake is a celebrity. He's a game show host, B-level. He sends out a tweet that has a typo in it, and thus the title of the book. It's an honest typo. He means to write. This isn't giving anything away, but he means to write the word flag, the American flag, and he leaves out the L. And so it's we should all have our fags at half mast today. That's the tweet that gets sent out when something bad happens in the LGBT community. He's trying to be sensitive to them, and instead says, we should all have our fags at half mast. So anyway, so he didn't mean it, but in today's culture, even if you have a legitimate excuse, even if it was an accident, it doesn't matter. You're going to get burned for it. So as soon as that tweet hits, it gets retweeted a zillion times. He becomes the story of the day. People are picketing his house, and then everything he's ever done in his life gets dredged up and rehashed to make him look like a bad guy. So by the time you've gone through his whole life, as we go back and see what he's done in his life to become a game show host, he has all these incidents, which later, when misinterpreted and put in the context of being a bad guy and a homophobe, now make him look like he hates Jews and he hates blacks and he hates Chinese people. So all these things. So as I'm writing the book and telling the story of how he, grew up and went to college and went to Hollywood, there's all these different incidents that are part of his story, but then come back to bite him in the ass later on. And you haven't gotten there yet, Maddie, but when you do, when we catch up to real time, everything he's done, everything you're reading is going to come back and bite him in the ass. So working at a kosher Oriental palace, a half Jew, half Oriental place, there's going to, you know what happened there. That's going to come back, and people are going to misinterpret his actions at that place as something, horribly racist or whatever. So that's the context. And then I use some real examples of things that happened to me and embellish them. And he goes through the whole book accidentally doing things that could be taken as offensive. And then when he tweets that thing out and is looked at as a bad guy, then they all come to fruition. And it's the crazy thing about the book is it's ridiculously absurd, but it's also entirely plausible. And maybe you feel that way having read what you've read, but it's entirely plausible that this could happen, that somebody could send out a tweet and just have this firestorm of negativity and have his whole past come back to haunt him.
Yeah. And just the plausibility, and he just seems kind of like a dopey, the type of dude that fails up. It seemed like every discretion that I've encountered so far, that everything that you could, like, if you were to look at that through a different lens, or maybe hear the other person's side of the story, he looks like a real bad guy. And then the next day or within a couple of hours, something really fucking cool happens to him. There seems to be that growth into his ideal. So it's almost like I kind of like, is that reinforcing his bad behavior? Is it just like he doesn't put that together? Cause he declared his father to be an idiot, anyway. And I was telling Mike about his mother's name and how I enjoyed it so much. But it trips you as you read it, because you're reading it
as the real word. Yeah.
As the real word. And every time you start the sentence with it, I was like, what? Fuck. Oh yeah. Fuck. That's funny.
Well, you should have seen my audiobook reader try to do. He read an audition, and I gave him actually coincidentally a paragraph with the mother's name in it. And he read it as the regular word, and he did it like 4 times. And I called back and said, hey, listen, I'm going to hire you, but it's not X, it's Y. You got to say it the right way, because I can give it away, but it's up to you guys, your audience.
It's the same concept as, it's from A Christmas Story. It's like, oh, that must be Italian.
Oh yeah. Right.
And where, the mother's name is Famale. So if anybody wants to figure that out in Italian, write it down. It's a hard word to read as you've written it. but it reminds you that the joke is there. It reminds you of how funny that is. Now, were all these jokes like in your head, and then you had to just arrange the words to get them out?
No, that the Famali thing is actually a true story, nothing related to me. Someone told me that story once about a girl whose mother couldn't think of a name for her child, and then looked down, just like I wrote it in the book, looked down at her wristband and found a beautiful combination of letters and named her daughter Famali. I mean, it's written right there on her wristband. She didn't get that was female, of course. I'm giving the joke away, but so that I had heard before, and so I said, that would be funny to name a character Famali. And the main character, Mo Riverlake, his original name, Mauro Basilio. If you take just like in school, if you take the first initial and the last name and say it real fast, it's imbecilio. And so, that stuff kind of comes to me, and you say, I'm going to name my middle name. I will give away for your audience. My middle name is Mauro, Mauro, and it's based on my grandfather, Mauricio. So even my wife gives me crap every once in a time, says it sounds like moron. So if I do something stupid, she refers to me by my middle name, Mauro, moron. Yeah. So I say, that's a great name for a character. Someone can make fun of them. So yeah, it's to answer your question, it's a combination of things. Some things you make up, it just hits you as you're writing. You go, wow, that would be funny if I did that. And some things you want to use and you work it in. So if that answers your question, so be it. But there's a lot of made up stuff, and there's some real stuff in there as well.
I mean, I'm always, I always kind of laugh at these little, and I just want, I sometimes wonder how planned they are, or if it was just like, all right, we need to name this dude, or just like the lawyer.
No, that was the name was intentional, and
like
the River Lake
was that.
Yeah, well, the lawyers that made. Yeah.
So I was enjoying a lot of the word play. Is the point that I'm making, and it was like a fun little treat within the story, and the story is engaging. And so what was there something that happened to you that sparked you to zone in, to kind of focus on this topic, or was it, just kind of like watching all this idiocy happen to go, I gotta make fun of this shit?
Well, okay, so good. I've actually been asked that a few times. I knew I wanted to make fun of cancel culture, but at the same time, there was something that not necessarily happened. So Weird Al Yankovic, the character loves Weird Al Yankovic, as you recall in the book. I've always grown up liking song parodies. Weird Al was not, I wouldn't say an idol, but I love taking an existing song that has to have certain rhythms, certain syllables on certain beats, and changing the words and doing it cleverly enough that it makes perfect sense, and parodying it. So when I would listen to some of Weird Al's songs, I thought they were just brilliant. And I wrote a whole bunch of my own parodies when I was a kid. Some of them were dirty, just like in the book. I mean, the songs he sings in the book are my songs.
I figured, because there's no way you came up with that for the book, because
Right.
Yeah.
But the point is, to answer your question, I still do it to this day. If I hear a song on the radio, I just inherently might start spoofing it in my head. So there was a song, I think it's called Waving Flag, by someone called, you can look it up while we're it's called Waving Flag by some Kanan, or Ka accent AAN or something like that. And so, when I get older, I will be stronger, just like a waving flag. And I just remember thinking in my head, not to be, anti anything, I just fag, right? Waving fag. It's just so easy to spoof it. I would never sing that song for fear of offending people, but that just comes to your head the way he says it. Waving flag is so I kept thinking waving flag, and like, God, what if someone did that? And so that little thing that I kept bottled up in my head as a parody, I would never do for obvious reasons. Flag and fag are so easy to mistake. And I said, well, gee, what if someone did that? And then I got the idea, well, what if someone tweeted that out? And I believe that's how it started. And then I was like, okay, so if he tweets that out, he's going to get burned. And, I want to spoof cancel culture, and I have all these thoughts on cancel culture. So all those things kind of made a nice little broth that, I could mix together and say, all right, so I'm going to use that thing, and I'm going to take what's going on in society, and this is going to be my commentary on it. And I'm going to name him Mauro because I want to comment on that. And then, you start writing, and it goes somewhere. I was a screenwriter in college, and I was going to write it as a script, a movie script. And I just didn't really feel like taking the time to outline it. And so honestly, this book reads like I planned it out. I knew where it was going, and I knew where it started, but I didn't know any of the middle. I have to admit, it came out brilliantly, but I made a lot of it up as I went. I just figured it out as I went along. He moves in with those people, Bogdan, Vragovic.
You know what's funny is my mother is Polish and I have like a cousin or some shit named Bogdan. So it was a completely familiar name to me.
Yeah, I keep wondering, where did I get Bogdan from? And then months later, I watched Mission Impossible. I guess it was 5 or 6, and it's Tom Cruise breaks out of a prison at the very beginning, if you know what I'm talking about, and he does it to a Frank Sinatra song or something. And the guy that he breaks out, the Russian, his name's Bogdan. And I was like, God, I wonder. And I was like, wait a minute, that's the name of one of my other characters. It's like, gee, I wonder if that's subliminally. Who knows how your mind processes stuff. And I was like, maybe that was in the back of my mind as a foreign name. And when I needed a character in that nationality, I went right to Bogdan and it came from there. So that's always interesting too. Like, where did I steal from? Where did I borrow from that I don't even realize?
That was one of the things that I realized when I was, I was a musician and for a real long time. And I was, I started to think that there is not an original fucking idea out there left anymore. There isn't one. There can't be. It's fucking impossible. There's 7 billion people in the world, 8 billion people in the world. There are more people dead than are alive. You can't put 4 fucking chords together that haven't been put together before. You're not going to put 3 words together that haven't been thought before. It's not going to happen. So who are you stealing from? So that's all you can do is you can take this clay and make what you can out of it. I'm enjoying it. But what made you decide to make that celebrity, the main character, a game show host? Like, why specifically did you dial in on like the Pat Sajak?
Okay. I'm not a huge fan. I don't sit and watch game shows all day, but I've always liked game shows. In fact, we were talking about cancer earlier when I was in the hospital for cancer for 5 weeks after my surgery 38 years ago today. For the next 5 weeks, I'm laying in a bed and I had the TV schedule down, you wake up at 8 when they come in, and then it was this game show at 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11 was Price is Right for an hour. So you'd catch, you'd watch all the game shows. I've been on 2 game shows. I've been on Scrabble with Chuck Woolery, and I've been on Wheel of Fortune.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. People, when they hear about, like, had you heard about that before I came on the show, you would have said, let's put that in the list of things to talk about. So sometimes people get me on. They don't want to talk about my book. They want to talk about.
All right. So what was I missed?
We'll get there, but we'll get there.
I missed the other game show that you said.
It's called Scrabble. It's what didn't last very
long.
You
said you mentioned Chuck Woolery and then you said something else.
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, you were on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, that's the one that people ask me about all the time.
Fuck Wheel of Fortune. Tell me about fucking. Good. No, I'm joking.
No, but get to the point is I've always been a fan of game shows. Yeah. I like watching them. I'm a game player. I'm not like a, video game Dungeons and Dragons kind of game. I just, you want to sit down and play Boggle or a board game with words. I'm good with words and I'll kick your ass in it. And, I enjoy it. Like so this whole world of, my 16-year-old son got him interested in it last year. He started liking war and stuff. I said, there's a game called Risk. He's like, really? And we went out and got it for Christmas. And we were playing it like every night over Christmas break, me and my wife and him. He's into world domination. But those aren't really my kind of games. I'm good at word games, some strategy. Anyway, I like game shows. I think it's kind of silly game. The whole idea of a game show is silly, and I've been on game show sets. I love the idea. And I actually had this idea for a stupid game show called Hats Off, which is what Mo River Lake hosts. And I just think the whole idea of hats off, and you've read some of it. I think you got that far, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So that just to me is so freaking stupid to have, a game board with all these characters with hats and you lift a hat and there's it makes me laugh. It's stupid. So I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to answer your question. I'm going there. I'm going to the game show world. I love the stupidity of it. And I love how somebody like this, who's naive to the social workings of society, thinks he's a celebrity because he hosts a game show on some cable network and he thinks he's this big celebrity. So it all just kind of came together. So I hope that answers your question, but that's where that came from. My game show host and experience, game show experience and interested in the goofiness of game shows.
Yeah. I mean, I've always, sometimes, no, see, here's the thing is we experimented with doing a game show here. But it was a trivia show and we had one guy that was just way smarter than everybody else. And it was just us. And we didn't do it with guests. And it's like one of those, we always kind of wanted to, we should, but I always thought.
Call me, I'll host it. I'll come up with the concept and I'll put you guys through the ringer as guests, man. I would love that. I'll come join your show every week if I have. I'll host the damn show. We had game night.
You just found a C block, Mike. We
There
just
we
got
go.
our C block. Fucking A.
Okay, right.
Great concept.
It's from 10 to, it's from 9:30 to 10. But
Perfect. We
and
just had friends over this weekend and played games, and there happened to be 9 of us. It was too many to play most games, and we have an old Family Feud game out in the garage. I said, all right, we'll play. And I hosted because I'm the only one that can handle the board, know how to set it up anyways. I was like, no, I'll host it. So I was the host, and we had 2 teams of 4, and I read out the question, and we, there you go. In another world, I would go on a game show. Like, you're only allowed to go on, I think the national law is 3 game shows in 10 years because they don't want people to make a living doing game shows. So you have to, if you have to actually sign a waiver that you haven't been on so many when you go on, all that sort of thing. But otherwise, I would go on game shows all the time. Why not? It's fun. Go on here, play a game, and if you win, you walk out of here with 10 grand. I mean, sign me up.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a
that's
good
my
gig.
thing.
yeah, I would
If you
actually
can get
love to be a game show host. That would be, I mean, I guess I'd like to be someday I'm going to be a podcast host. And when I get my own podcast, I'll hit you up.
Maybe
Yeah,
rock
and then,
band.
and to answer your question further, that's what writing is, just like actors. I mean, when you write about a game show host, and especially when the book is in the first person, you become a game show host. So, somewhere I think I'd be a great game show host. I'd probably be a great Academy Awards show host, having watched that last week. I probably would do a real good job doing that, but I would probably be a really good game show host. I will say that modestly. And so consequently, I write a book and I make the character a game show host. And now at least I can play that for a while as a writer. And so that's part of the enjoyment too. You put yourself in situations and you see how the characters react, but the character is always you to some degree. Every character has a little bit of me in it somewhere. Even Lexi, the girl, I'm a grammar Nazi. She's a grammar Nazi. So I put my grammar Nazi tendencies into that character. And so she goes around, and it was originally going to be Mo Riverlake was going to be the grammar Nazi, but too many different things we were dealing with him. So I put it on the girl, the beautiful blonde, and I made it kind of funny that this gorgeous, sexy blonde is so good with grammar and vocabulary that actually I thought worked really well. I don't know how far if you've read far enough to read that, but I thought that worked out really well. But everything that comes out of her mouth with grammar it's coming out of my mouth. I mean, I'm just putting the words in her mouth.
There was a section where he had severely wronged his brother. And his brother had written him a note, and he's talking to Lexi, and Lexi's just going on about the grammar. Like that's
right.
Like he wrote him this long note about how, like, all the, just all the shit that he did. And then the woman, she's just concerned with all of the like punctuation errors and the grammar. And and it's those little, those little details, but there are other aspects of that book, and they entertain me. They made me giggle. Because I'm really hard to offend. But do you have any concern that, like, people might get offended with some of the things that happen, or the way that even the way that Mo speaks, he's not bigoted by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not woke either. So do you have any concern? Like, was that in you? Like, did you have that as you were writing it, or just kind of fuck everybody, I'm doing this?
It's a great question. I've been asked it before, and my standard answer is, if you're offended by this book, you're making my point for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's it. That's the short answer. If you're offended by this, you are exactly what this book is satirizing. People who are so thin-skinned that they can't handle something that's meant innocently and humorously. And one thing I was very careful to do, Mo Riverlake is not a bad guy. He is not offensive. Yeah, you could take everything that he did and call it offensive, but I think as you read the book, Maddie, I mean, it's innocent. What he says to the stewardess on the plane is just, he's overexcited and he's young, and he says couple things that really aren't bad, but then when it comes back, he's not a bad guy. He's just naive. He's just not intelligent. He's not quick thinking. So these things come out, and people take them to be so offensive. Hey, cut the guy a break. He just doesn't know any better. He's not offending, and that's the whole thing. I'm saying this with passion now because this is like my attitude. Cut the guy a break. He wore a Halloween costume 35 years ago. He didn't mean to offend anybody. He was just thought it was funny, and he didn't know any better. He was young, and the times were different. Cut the guy a break.
And to judge everything that's already happened by the sensibilities of today is just ludicrous.
Exactly.
Absolutely ludicrous.
Oh yeah, no, we're turning around and we're looking at shit. We're just,
Unless it's
if
rape
you
or
were to look at
murder,
my
it really,
life under a microscope now, look at me as a 20-year-old, I'd be locked the fuck
terrible
up.
person. You're a
I-
terrible
Dude,
person.
I really was. I mean, even for those standards, I was pretty fucking bad. But just if I look back on and I'm like horrified, like wow, like holy shit, like some of the stuff that I remember getting pissed off because I had to make flyers for the band at a 7-Eleven, and the flyers one week were 5 cents, and then the next week to make copies was 15 cents a copy. And I had a milkshake in my hand, and I was so pissed off at 15 cents a copy that I threw the milkshake at the window, and then we drove away. I never got the copies. I was just so mad at it. I was just so angry as a child, as a young boy. But what was the point that I was making, Mike? Oh
we
yeah,
all,
Yeah.
transgressions we make is there's and if you look at the perspective from others, like the stuff that keeps you up at the stuff that bothers you about things that you've said to people, that stuff doesn't get nearly as worried about by the other person as that transgression you barely even realize you made.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
great
sense?
point. Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I never thought. It's a good way to phrase it. I like that. I'm going to use
that
that.
that happens. I'm a real sarcastic person. And it takes a lot to understand my humor, especially in situations that are more formal. And I was driving home, and I had my mother-in-law in the car, and she was talking about how she didn't understand pronouns. She's a 55-year-old woman. She didn't understand that why people would have different pronouns, why people would want to control, like tell you what pronouns, like she just didn't understand. And just kind of out of the side of my mouth, I was like, bigot, and to me, I'm just like, because I'm right there and I'm always being called a bigot, and I understand the point. So I kind of slid it, and I didn't mean anything, but dude, for weeks, she was a little upset with me, and I didn't, and I had to I heard about it from her like a day later, and then I heard about it from my wife like a week later, and then I heard about it about my wife again, and I how do I apologize? You can't. That's the problem, because trying to apologize
For your sarcasm.
makes it worse. Trying to apologize for upsetting somebody makes it worse. So the more you try to, apologize, like even the cover of the book here, the main character is fumbling, and there's where he's trying to show how he could have made that mistake, but the whole time he's trying to show how to make that mistake, he could not make that mistake. It would not happen for him. So the autocorrect kept fixing it to flag, no matter what he did. And it was just so the point is all an apology is a shovel, and you're not digging yourself out of shit. You're digging yourself deeper. So what you got to learn to do is just when you transgress, just say, fuck it. Fuck them. That's it.
But what would you do if you actually, had a following and sent out a tweet that said fag instead of flag? You don't think you'd follow it up by saying, "Hey, dude, it was just a typo"? I mean,
I'd be talking him off a bridge. I would be talking him off a bridge.
because to me, people, and what I did in the book is he apologized because he makes he tells what happened, which is legitimately what happened, but it sounds like an excuse. So, as soon as you've transgressed, I think, Maddie, to your point, as soon as you've transgressed, anything you do to try to cover or explain it away is an excuse. And people are not going to say, you know what, I could see that mistake happening. That's the problem with our world, in my opinion. I could see that happening. That's probably what you did. I know you didn't mean it. Nobody goes there. It's all no. You now you're trying to cover. Now you're trying to save face. You don't want to lose your job as a game show host. Blah 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 blah. You wrote fag, and I know you wanted to write fag. No, I didn't. I wrote flag, and my finger missed the L. I mean, that's what
everybody
happened.
wants to believe the worst about somebody, and as soon as they have an opportunity to, it's all guns blazing.
But
Yeah.
That's the book. That's the book. The consequence of that.
at some point, you have to go with Occam's razor and say, the simplest explanation that makes the most sense has to be what happened.
Yeah.
No, today, kids they just want to tear everything down at a moment's notice.
Oh, anything that happened before they were born, they don't want to know anything about. But
No
yeah.
desire.
So, John, some have accused you of writing this book just so you could openly use the word fag on podcasts, and someone is me.
Okay. Well, F you then. What? Was there a question there?
No. I was just
yeah. Do I need to come up with a game show question for you guys or what?
No, I'm sorry. I'm a little
sorry. Recollect. I mean, I can tell you about Wheel of Fortune if you want. What do you want? Which direction do you want to
John,
take?
I've got a very simple explanation for you that you could use. I was talking about a cigarette.
Oh, that's true.
Well,
yeah, there you go.
Because that's always been a thing.
That's a fag, right? I forgot about that because I don't smoke.
People who are too young, they don't want to believe that. They're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fun. I mean, it was a fun topic to explore, and again, everything that happens. I mean, I laughed myself silly just coming up with half of that stuff. Like, what would happen next? And actually, it was my goal throughout the book to have him unintentionally offend as many different nationalities as possible. Right. So by the end of the book, so I could have the whole world hating him. I think that's even one of the lines in the book. Basically, he had offended every nationality, every group, anywhere, motorcycle gang, and no matter who it is, pregnant women, belly dancers, whatever. He found a way to offend them just with innocent little things. And so as I wrote the book, I'm like, okay, he hasn't offended Mexicans yet. I got to come up with something that can accidentally happen for Mexicans. And again, are people going to get offended that I did that? I treaded water very carefully on some of those. In fact, Maddie, did you get to the part with the two black gentlemen who complained that there aren't enough black people on the show? Did you get that far? I'm trying to think of where
No, I haven't. I have not. I have not gotten that far.
In fact, so he actually, the one group that he never offends, unintentionally or otherwise, is blacks. And they get offended because he hasn't offended them. Like they feel like they've been excluded. So they're mad at him, not for offending them, but for not offending them because he offended everybody else and somehow avoided offending black people. And that's what they're mad about. Like they're not inclusive.
So you've gone with the Mel Brooks theory on parody of racism and satire of racism. You just go guns a-blazing and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I did not go guns a-blazing. I ignored it. Then I had these two people walk in and say, you didn't have any black people on your show. And then eventually later on, it's, well, you haven't offended us yet. How come? Like, what do you have against us that you haven't offended us? So, I mean, I'm laughing because, it's for me, that was a good thing to do. Was like, how do I be really careful? Because again, anybody who gets offended by my book is making my point, but that doesn't mean it won't offend people. And I don't want to be this author who people read this book and go, well, who is this asshole writing this book? And how dare you? And then the book goes viral and every black person in America is mad at me because of what I put in the book. I put some classic stereotypes for all nationalities in there. There's a watermelon reference that's accidental. It's watermelon candy, but the black people get offended because he had watermelon candy on his desk. I mean, he didn't say watermelon. He just had watermelon candy on his desk because that's what he likes. And when they see it, they think it's, so again, it's not even racist at all that what Mo did. But if someone says, hey, you put watermelon candy in the book because you associate blacks with watermelons, I don't necessarily, but I think we all know that, like, that's like a classic stereotype, right? I mean, we made jokes as children with watermelon before it became, taboo to do that.
Wait,
that's what, right? Am I right or no? You're gonna play. Yeah. See, don't do me like that, man.
Watermelon's delicious. I love watermelon.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm white, and you can see I'm white. I love watermelon. So it's not a racial thing.
Watermelon is one of my favorite treats. So is fried chicken and grape soda. Orange soda I enjoy.
And waffles.
Waffles are good. Yeah, absolutely. Peanut butter.
Yeah.
So you made a whole movie, like a documentary about the $2 bill.
Yeah, and again, another It's crazy, right? Crazy. Just go across the board and find different things. Go ahead.
What was it about the $2 bill that sparked your interest? I took no. I'm sorry. I've been really focused on the book, and I didn't do any other research on.
No, it's okay because I'm going to reach behind me now for anybody who's watching live. And in this desk drawer, I have the actual collection of $2 bills that I had as a kid. Whenever I got the first one, I think there's 13 of them here, and these I had as a child, and I keep them in the same place behind me in this desk drawer for years. And I just kept pulling them out every once in a while and wondering like what to do with them. I don't want to spend them because I've had them for years. I think they're more valuable, even though I know now they're not. But long story short, I had done a few documentary shorts, and I said, I'll do some fun little video. I'd do a half-hour documentary, and I thought it would be a bunch of hidden camera going into 7-Eleven, maybe a little history. So I decided to do it, and I started researching it and learning so much about people that use them, and they've been on the moon. There's superstitions. There's just like literally an hour and 40 minutes of content, which is how long the movie is. And when people found out I was doing it, I managed to get a little publicity. I had a Kickstarter. It's amazing the community of people around the world and in the United States mostly who love $2 bills and use them, and currency
I just got
collectors.
one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and what happens when you get it? You remember where you get it. It's all sorts of things that happen when you get one, and when you use one with somebody else, there's a connection. And truly, what the movie's about is that the connection that the $2 bill has, told through a story and through anecdotes and whatnot. But it's just fascinating, and so it turned into a full-length feature. I was allowed to go to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Fort Worth, Texas, and film them actually making them. So I have this footage, which I own.
Fantastic.
Probably the only person that has this footage of $2 bills coming off the presses. And anybody who sees the movie, or if you guys watch it, it's free on YouTube now. I put it there when COVID hit, and it's just an amazing thing. And I still keep a YouTube channel going because I have all this extra content that I couldn't put in the film, and I repurpose stuff. And I've got 24,000 subscribers. It's monetized. Just last week, actually, there was a couple of articles about the $2 bill and the value. And all of a sudden, my channel spiked. I mean, I had like 3,000 people a day watching my movie on YouTube. I made a nice little chunk of change in advertising revenue. But again, long story short, I made it because I just
$2 bill documentary.
Yeah, there's a website.
Documentary
if you type there you go. That's it. You can watch the movie online. You can watch clips online. I host a lot of clips. I narrate a lot of clips. There's clips on, where do they go in a cash register that's not in the movie.
They still print the fucking things?
They still print them. They printed them in 2021. I was there in 2013 when they printed them. I tell you, the word that people use when they see the film and talk to me is surprised. I hope it's surprised about what the content. I'm not surprised that I actually made a good movie, no, but it's really surprised that they didn't realize there was that much information about the $2 bill. And it really is amazing. And I can say modestly, like, this is even more so than my book, this is my grandest achievement, is that film. It took me 2 years to shoot it and edit it. And it just came out so wonderfully, and it's got such a big following, and it's just really good. I mean, I'm far enough removed from it now, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is, that I can watch it objectively and say, man, this is done well. I was in a zone. It came out great. It's great information. So many great people I met in it, who I'm still friends with today. And anyway, it's, a lot of people think they're not making them anymore, like yourself, and that they're rare, and that's wrong. And so for educational and entertainment purposes, I would tell your viewers, listeners, to check it out. And that's not just because it's my movie, but it's a piece of American currency. I mean, we spend money. It's relatable to everyone, and you should learn more about it, and I would check it out.
When I was a kid, I went to Catholic school, and the only way that you could get a $2 bill was to be an altar boy for sacrament, be an altar boy. You had to be an altar boy, one. And when you went to, you served mass at a sacrament, such as a christening or a marriage or a funeral, you usually got tipped in $2 bills. That was the custom. I didn't think that was worth it. So I never had a $2 bill.
They're available at the bank. I got
my first one.
You could just go get them.
Yeah, they're at I mean, not every bank will have them, but they should. And if they don't, you asked if they can order some. And if they give you crap, they're just being lazy because they put an order in with the Fed every week for how many denominations they need. And all they got to do is check off the box with twos and say they need 1,000 of them, and they'll get 1,000 of them. So it's just laziness if they don't want to do it. I would tell people, the advice I give is to say you're doing a charity event or something and you're giving them out to kids and you need them. And then they'll, all right, we'll order some for you. And then within 3-4 days, you've got a crisp stack of sequential serial number $2 bills.
Ask
Go
me
on
how I
eBay.
got mine a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, how? Go ahead.
It was a promotion by a local car dealership that there was some number on a flyer that they sent you. You call up and they put you on a list, and they say, all right, come on down. And they sent like a key to the car. So it was like everybody gets a chance at the lock or something. I didn't get into that part of the game, but so we rolled in and they looked down the list of numbers and they say, okay, here, you've won like $5, and they hand you a $2 bill and 3 of the gold $1 coins.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, oh, well,
Jackpot.
that's kind of cool. And they put you in they put us in a raffle for a Weber grill. I was like, okay, but
they're really cool items. If you spend any of those dollar coins or $2 bills, there's something that happens. This is all in the movie. People will remember you. They'll say, oh, wow, a $2 bill. I haven't seen one of those. And now you've started a conversation. And the next time you come in, they're going to remember you. And it's just an amazing piece of currency to use, not only because it's practical. If it's something costs $19.99, the tax is going to make it 21 and change. You hand them a 20 and a 2 if you're paying cash. But it does do that to people. People will remember who you are. Their eyes will light up. You'll make their day. You'll start a conversation, tip a waiter, tip a busboy or something. Next time you come in, you're getting better service because you're the $2 bill guy.
Or
I'm still blown away by the fact that you can just go get a $2 bill without getting molested.
Or there's plenty of videos out there, I'm pretty sure of like go to any fast food joint with a millennial working the counter.
There's one on my channel.
You will blow their mind. They're like, this isn't real.
There's a video on my YouTube channel that I didn't put in the film.
Your documentary tomorrow.
But actually that's not in the documentary. That's a clip that I shot for the documentary and decided not to use it. So then later on, when I had a YouTube channel, I said, let me make a video on what happens at fast food places. And so it's a really great video. It's got over almost 2 million views. It's one of my most popular videos.
Maybe it was your video that I watched.
It could have been, but people thought I was an a-hole because I was prompting people to talk about it. And people were in the comments like, you're obnoxious. You're obnoxious. I say, no, I'm just trying to engage them in conversation because like, you should just let them see the reaction. I'm like, the reaction is, huh. And after a while, that video would suck. So I'm like, I got to talk to them and say, how often do you use them? And the humor comes in what they say and everything like that. So yeah, check that one out. It's called $2 bills at fast food drive-thrus. What will happen or something like that. But it's a good one.
Absolutely.
And I'll make a couple of pennies from your watch. Feed my dog.
Hey, all right.
My last $2 bill experience was with a foreign clerk at I think it was a gas station, convenience counter. Refused it.
And that happens.
I said, you can't refuse it. It's currency. No, that's fake. You made that. No, I didn't. And I had 3 people behind me. They're like, no, really, it's a $2 bill. You don't see them a lot, but they're out there. No. That's not real. That's not real. You're trying to trick me because I'm not American.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it went into a whole thing.
There's a part of the movie where a guy got arrested for using them at Best Buy. Long story. It's in the movie. I just started a TikTok channel, and I said, I don't want to do my own TikTok. I'm not going to start dancing. But I said, I'll do a $2 bill TikTok, and I'll try to push people toward the. Anyway, I said, so what's one of the first videos I should put up? I said, I'll put up the guy getting arrested because it's the most salacious and it might draw the biggest audience. I put it up on. Was it Saturday last week? It's got over 350,000 views already. Wow. It netted me about 30. It's like it went viral basically. And I put another one up today, and it got like, it's got only like 200 views. So that video is just the algorithm picked it up. I hashtagged it properly, but that video is going nuts. And it's because of, it's more than just a $2. People are like fascinated with someone spending them and getting arrested. So it's like the perfect storm of content for me.
Odd currency is neat. My wife and I worked in car dealerships years ago, and there was a situation where a guy was really upset with his bill, but it came down to a court ruling that he had to pay it. He showed up with a wheelbarrow full of rolled coin and left it at the dealership. But in that coin, when they went to deposit it, my wife found almost an entire roll of steel pennies,
which were worth what?
They're not worth a lot, but I mean they're worth more than a penny. We've got them here at the house. They're tucked away for kids and grandkids later. But there were almost a whole roll of steel pennies from the 40s during World War II when they wouldn't use copper.
To tie this whole stream of consciousness together, well, it reminds me of terrible shit that I did when I was a kid. We had just started driving, and I lived in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, they pump your gas. And I would collect pennies from my, just around the house. My parents would keep them in huge jars, and I would just take them at my will. Apparently, I found out later I wasn't supposed to. But I went and I got $10 in gas, and what the guy didn't know is I had a sack of loose pennies. And English was a second language, and we got into an argument, and I threw the sack of pennies, not at him, but on the ground.
To him, near him,
and I drove off.
You like throwing things at people. I'm learning from this podcast.
I do. I used to. I blew out both my rotator cuffs. I can't really move my arms all that well, so I don't throw things.
I'm glad this is a Zoom call now, because I'm afraid of what might be hurled at me if I say anything.
No, I've grown immensely in the past 4 or 5 years or something like
15 or 20 minutes.
But I had a brain fart, Mike. You got me?
Yeah.
Tell us about Chuck Woolery, dude.
Yeah, Chuck Woolery. Yeah, Chuck Woolery. So,
I don't know about Chuck Woolery.
So in that particular Wheel of Fortune, if you win, you're gone, because you don't come back as the defending champion. But on game show like Scrabble, you come back the next day, and you can do 5 total days. So they tell you to bring 5 changes of clothes, because they tape, I think 10 shows in a day, because they only a half hour. They don't want to pay a crew every day. People think they shoot one a day. You shoot a show, you run to the dressing room, you change your clothes, Chuck changes his suit, you come back out, and within 20 minutes you're rolling on show 2. So I was on 4 shows, because I was a 3-day champion. We did that in 2.5 hours. And then my parents, I lived on the West Coast at the time, California, of course, and so they got to watch it like every morning for 4 days. But the experience for me was 2 hours. Anyway, so Chuck is I was the defending champ, so I was there constantly. And so he got, and then at the end of the show, you sit there and you chit chat. So, he probably would remember me, because I did a couple of things that I think he would actually remember. I told him once during the breaks, there's a cue card for the instructions for the bonus game. I want to remind you to hit your plunger. That's what stops the clock. There are no stoppers in any of these words. All the letters are good. I still know it. So I told him during the break, I said, Chuck, they said, do you need that cue card? I said, even I know the rules. And I read it to him like I just did for you. So he come back on the air and he goes, all right, John's going to play the bonus game. I'm going to let John read the rules. So I go, I want to remind you to hit your plunger. That's what stops it. And so there were fun things like that I don't think a lot of contestants do. He was really cool. We laughed, and I know when I left, he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna miss you, John." And I knew he kind of meant it, because, again, without being modest, I think I was entertaining. I was vibrant. I did stuff like that. I didn't just stand there and play the game. I made crack jokes. I told him once. He's like, "Oh, that was an interesting strategy thing you just did." And I said, "Chuck, I think I'm one step ahead of you." I told him, like, hey, I'm playing the game. You're not playing. I know what I'm doing. But so there was some fun there, and I enjoyed it. I think he got along cool. Now he's kind of an a-hole on his Twitter. I don't know if you follow. I follow him because I was on his show, but he's total conservative, biased, right wing, and he just, if I didn't know him, I'd be like, who is this smug idiot? So I don't know if that answers your question. It's just anecdotal, but I thought he was cool at the time. Now I don't know.
I mean, back in the day, because he did the dating game, right, too?
He did a whole bunch. He did the
a
not
bunch,
the
yeah,
dating
he
game.
was-
It was the Love Connection.
Love Connection. That's we'll be back in
He did
soon too.
Yeah, Scrabble, and he had a couple of other shows. You know, some I don't even he might have done Wheel of Fortune for a short time, but he did a number of shows that other hosts ended up getting famous for. But he's been around. He's done a lot of game shows.
Yeah, that's Chuck Woolery, man. And they said Pat Sajak was an experience too. Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, Pat Sajak was all right. So a couple quick anecdotes on that show. So, you know, when someone calls out an R, he instantly says there were 3 R's. He doesn't know how many R's are in the puzzle. There's someone sitting directly across from him with the grid. And the minute I call R, he goes like this. And for the podcast, I'm holding up 3 fingers instantly. So Pat just all he has to do is look across the board and say there are 3 R's. So someone's telling him instantly how many there are. After I won, I lost a bonus game, but I'm standing there with him and Vanna, you know, one on my left, one on my right. We're chatting during the credits. Vanna was a sweetheart. As soon as they said clear, meaning the show was over, he says, okay. And he just took off. Like not even, it was like, there goes my mic. It was like a good conversation during the credits. And then the minute they told him, you know, the day was over, because that was the last show of the day.
So during the credits, they you don't hear what anybody's saying.
No, you've seen the cameras like swooping by, and you just see me
on the TV. You see guys kind of chit chatting. That's a real conversation.
Yep,
is what you're saying. That's not just him like looking interested. Like you feel you feel like you're engaged. But as soon as he was told, we're done.
Clear. Yeah, they yell clear, and he's like, okay, and he's gone. So he was telling me like he knew I was I live from Boca Raton, Florida. He's like, oh, you know, I was looking at some property down there, and is it nice? And I'm thinking of buying a house in South Carolina. And he was like, it was like an honest, you know, like, oh, that's cool where you're from, and here's what I'm doing. And then it was like clear, okay, see you later, bye. But whoa, like how about how about like nice talking to you or something?
I have to be here until they tell me to leave, and then once they tell me to leave, fuck you.
Right. That was his 6th show of the day. So I'm sure, and you know, and it was his 40th year doing it, whatever. So I probably would want to get the hell out of there too. Like, what am I to him? I'm just another, you know, just another thing he's got to accommodate to get through his day.
I was in the studio audience for a taping of Double Dare, early on in its run. In fact, so early on, it's when they still taped it at WPHL 17 studios in Philly here.
Yeah.
And Mark Summers was a tool. I mean, he seemed like kind of a cool guy, and he comes by, and he's supposed on camera you see him, he's doing high fives and chit chatting with people in the audience. And if you talked to him, he was a complete and total jackass with a smile on his face.
That's exactly.
Don't touch my hand. No, I don't want to touch. Like actually saying terrible things to children. But
don't touch my hand. He was a complete germaphobe. He still is.
Yeah, but I mean, there was other than that. But
so was Howie Mandel, and he still has a career.
Oh, I mean, Summers does too, and Summers seems nice enough. And we've all made mistakes in our past, but
what is Mark Summers doing?
It's not a happy one.
Didn't he used to host a show called Remote Control?
No, that was the MTV show that had Kari Wuhrer on it, if I remember her. And I forget the name of the character. I don't think it was Mark Summers. I
thought it was him before it was Colin Quinn, and then it was Colin Quinn.
No, Colin Quinn was a co-host.
He was a co-host.
No, I think Mark Summers did. He did a bunch of food shows on the Food Net, didn't he?
Yes.
Like how it's made, but food.
Yeah, he's still involved with some of that, I believe.
Huh.
Very cool.
I'll say this though, Vanna White was the opposite. Vanna White was surprisingly pleasant. She actually popped her head in the green room because they film 6 shows in a day, so there's 20 people in there, alternates and whatnot, the whole day's contestants, and she's unmade up. She just got to work, and she pops her head in and says, "Hi, everybody, and I wish you all good luck, and how you doing?" And I was, she came in, looking like crap, whatever, before they made her up, put the dress on her, and came back and wished us well, and was nice, smile, and I was surprised. And she was a childhood idol crush, I guess, because when talking about cancer, when I was having my chemotherapy back in 1985 and watching game shows, and no exposure to any women, the hottest woman I was in contact with was Vanna White on the Wheel of Fortune,
right.
Turning over letters. and with cleavage and everything, and like that was like, oh, Vanna, like that was the dream girl. And then however many years later to go on the show and stand right next to her at the end and meet her, and was kind of cool. I mean, she was obviously looking older and different, but I was, you talk about these game shows being jerks. She was not.
So let's see. Looking at Remote Control from MTV was hosted by Ken Ober.
That's right.
It featured Colin Quinn as the announcer sidekick, and Quinn hosted the final episodes because Ober was away filming his short-lived series, Parenthood. Several walk-on parts were played by John Tenek,
Adam Sandler,
Dennis Leary, and Roger Kabler.
What the hell?
I love that show.
What the hell? What show am I thinking? Doesn't matter.
Well, I can work that out too. Talk amongst yourselves.
I don't know. I can't even place Mark Summers. I have to look. Is it Sommers? Because I'm going to look him up on my own.
Summers.
Oh, Summers. Yeah, I don't even know. I can't think of who that is. I'm sure I'll recognize him when I see it. For all the shows I
thinking of
watch.
Summers, who was in like the Beastmaster or something.
I thought he was a little bit younger than that. He's 71.
By the way, I will throw in the fact that somewhere online, all my Scrabble episodes are on YouTube. I don't know how you would find them. I have to maybe send you guys a link. And then I actually made a video called "How I Won $12,850 on Wheel of Fortune," and I showed the show. You're not allowed to copyright unless you're talking about it. So I put myself in the lower corner of the screen and describe what I was thinking. So if anybody's actually interested in seeing the show and seeing what my thought process was, why I picked this letter or what have you, just search "How I Won $12,850 on Wheel of Fortune." And I have a $2 bill documentary channel, and I have my own channel for my name. I just put some random stuff up there. It's not a very popular channel at all, but I put the Wheel of Fortune clip up there. Actually put a song parody up there recently. Going back all the way to the beginning of this conversation and tying ends together, I did a song parody for Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero called Robert De Niro, and I put that on the channel. So I mean, there's all sorts of, if you don't want to read the book, you want to watch videos instead.
I have so many things to do tomorrow.
Yeah, go watch some $2 bill stuff. Go watch some parodies. I did a fake interview with Prince Andrew, which is really funny. Kind of in the old, you guys remember the show, not necessarily the news on HBO way back when?
Yeah, Stuart Pankin and Robert Wall.
Yes, Stuart Pankin, right, who appeared in Scavenger Hunt. There's a movie, right? So he was the fat guy with plaid shirt and white shorts and blue sneakers.
Hollywood Nights back in
Yep.
That was a great movie, bro.
I loved how they would insert themselves as anchors and interviewers into other interviews. And so I've always been fascinated by that. And I actually did one a year ago where I interviewed Prince Andrew, whose interview was the one where he's refuting the Jeffrey Epstein and the photo of him with the girl. So I came up with a whole new context and came out really well. So I throw that kind of stuff up on my own personal channel. Hardly anybody watches it, but I just put it there as a place to
the secret of that. And it still happens in the digital world, but in the old days when they were making that stuff and you would get the hard copy of the media kit for somebody when something came out, they would send either 3/4 or VHS with the answer side on it. And everybody got that copy. All the networks got it. And you had to decide which pieces you were going to use. And then you would shoot your piece and cut them together.
Yeah.
And the same went for audio. They would send the audio out the same way. And your afternoon guy would have all these answers. And the smart guys who wanted to have fun would ask some oddball question and then play an answer that was fun.
Right. So that's, again, you talk about my book and what everything comes from, your influences come when you're young, you watch certain shows, you like the way they do things. And I think those styles stay with you. And am I copying? I'm copying the idea. I'm putting my own personal take and creativity on it, but it comes from, I know the roots. It comes right from not necessarily the news on HBO and, comes from song parodies, watching Weird Al as a teenager and all that stuff. So it's really, it's inspiring. I think we all take our inspiration from somewhere and then we do our own spin on it. And that's how we find our creative self.
No, I had a professor in college that in communications, he had worked in radio and he had a bunch of these old platters that they say right on the label, after such and such a date, this is to be smashed. And there was a couple of them that he kept because they were interesting. One of them was the American Top. He had the platters for 1 week of American Top 40 with Casey Kasem, and
which I listen to all the time. Yeah,
yeah, and it's a fun thing to have because he had these pristine condition records that had literally been played one time to put on reel to reel and put away. And somebody said, "Here, take these out back and break them." And he said, "Okay."
And are they worth? Got to be worth something.
Probably, yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, they're probably worth a couple of bucks at this point because they were supposed to be smashed.
Yeah, interesting. Well, so that's what I do. That's got all these different media things out there. I like to be creating something. There's always a project I'm working on, whether it's video or writing or whatever. But that's how I keep myself going. Is even if I have other crap to do, I try to make sure I'm being creative somehow.
Sure.
I mean, and what you put out is good. Like I said, I've been reading the book. I'm really enjoying it. I was looking at the YouTube channel here. I'm going to check out this documentary on the $2 bill. That's
set yourself some time. Set yourself, like watch it continuously for an hour. And
I have time tomorrow. As a matter of fact, that I have a doctor's appointment and I had to take the day off because the doctor's appointment like in the middle of the day. So,
well, if you want to watch it without ads, you could pay $2 on Amazon Prime and watch it. I don't give it away for free. I guess I should give it away now on Amazon Prime. I'm giving it away on YouTube, and it's got like 89,000 views. So I probably should. But it's funny because people still pay the $2 on Amazon Prime to watch it, and I get like $20 a month. So if you want to watch it there ad free, then go ahead, pay the $2 and you can watch it.
Pay $2 to watch it ad free on Amazon Prime. You don't have to go log into your YouTube on your smart TV. You just could have just logged into your Amazon app, your Prime app. It's right there.
Yeah.
$2, it's nothing. Or you can listen to the audiobook. You can listen to that like a podcast.
Well, the audiobook for my book, you can get that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. His audiobook for Just a Typo. You can, if you're one of those people that likes reading, they got it in paperback. It's for Kindle.
Yeah, right.
You can just go to Amazon.
Binge my stuff. Sure, go ahead, binge my stuff. The $2 bill stuff's monetized. My personal channel is not. So if you go and watch, my song parody or my interview with Prince Andrew, I mean, you'll laugh and don't worry, you're not supporting me financially. If you can laugh and you don't worry about no one's getting rich off it. But I wish I could monetize that channel. I'd put comedy stuff out all the time because at my roots, I'm a comedy guy. The $2 bill thing I thought was going to be quirky and dumb, until I realized what I had and the material started coming to me and I realized how important it was to people anyway. So it wasn't as screwball as I thought, as you'll see. It's actually,
I back in 2012, my son, my oldest son was starting Kensington. He was starting his sophomore year of Kensington High School in Philadelphia, and they had never had a football team before. And the coach had started this. They didn't have a field. They didn't have anything. And, I started doing this documentary web series on YouTube called Rise of the Tigers. And then that turned into, that just kind of evolved. And it's funny. You don't realize what you're kind of starting. I just really wanted to try to, get people to help me videotape my kids' football games. But it turned into this, documentary where we were like talking to the school district and we were talking to like all these different people about, the importance of a football program, the importance of sports in general, the importance of needing direction in the inner city, like the inner city kids needing direction. And you think you're just like, oh, this is a fun little story about just starting a football team. And it turns out to be a much more important thing, so I know how that kind of, unfolds. And sometimes you don't even know what you have until you have it, where you're trying to make this, in our case, it would be a 10-minute video a week. We had a hard time cramming it into 10 minutes. It's like, well, we have to put this, we have to this. You can't cut that short. That's going to, so, trying to make, you said this project started out, you probably thought it would take you 30 minutes. It would probably wind up being a 30-minute project. It winds up being a full length feature and something to be, very, very proud of. So we do recommend everybody go and check that out. Dude, thanks for coming on, John. I really do appreciate it. We're going into our C block. You are welcome to, hang out with us. If you want to, we kind of just watch videos and make fun of them. It's not really that interesting to most people, but if you want to hang out, you can. If you don't, this is a good time to say goodbye. We are going to, unless you have something else you want to.
No, I might go online and watch the rest of it. I don't necessarily have to participate, but you guys are cool. I'm going to try to, subscribe here and you guys do this every Wednesday, right?
Yeah, every Wednesday, rain or shine, no matter what. I've done it from the hospital. I've done it from Jamaica. Mike's done it from the hospital. Mike's done it injured.
Wow. Well, So no, you've got a new fan and a friend. You guys call me anytime. I'll come on. Like I said, I'll watch. I'll probably, I'm actually watching now. One of your people that are watching are me. I've got it on. In fact, I was thinking of putting something in the chat, but you would know that it jigs up. I'm watching on. I've got it on my phone on YouTube just to kind of see what's going on and see if anybody does any chat. But no, I'll probably keep watching here. I'm going to probably use the little boys' room and get a snack and come back and be entertained instead of participating. But no, I really enjoyed my time here. You guys are great. It's always fun to talk about this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on.
And
that's
our B block. We're going to get out of here. You can reach us at 1646-VIRUS-01. It's 1646-VIRUS-01, themediavirus.com. If you want to see John Bennardo counting his money, he's doing that over at johnbennardo.com.
Yeah, everybody remember, John's got $26 in the dresser behind his desk.
Well, and there's a few more here. I spend these. These are in my other drawer. I take these out with me and I spend them like you should do now, beginning tomorrow.
Yes.
Everybody get some $2 bills.
Make your point with $2 bills. If you really want to be on the wild side, write TMVP on them. The Media Virus Podcast. We'll be back right after this with our C block to round out the week. And I'm not in the right screen. 1, 2, 3. I do this at least once a week. And we'll be back.
Oh man, that was good. Another good show, guys.
Yeah, very good. You guys are fun. I'm gonna turn my light off there. See what difference that makes. I read your notes. I always put a light on myself as a videographer. I know how to light, but it's nice that you put that in your notes. You're on that Google Doc. Like, make sure you're lit and make sure you have headphones and all that other stuff.
He pulled a me.
Yeah.
I always wonder about that document and how Matt, you're not coming through. Your mic's turned off. I always wonder how that document hits somebody when they see it. It just a bunch of points that Matt and I talked about that we felt were important to make the show work. Yeah,
no, it's smart. I would do the same thing. But again, I'm going to go now at 10 o'clock. I'm going to get some stuff together. And like I said, I'll keep you on. Keep you on here for a little while. And thanks again, guys.
John, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are king. Take care.
Thank you very much. You too. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I've got to get into that book now. You guys.
I'm going to dig into that book too.
I mean, it's really.
I haven't had time to read anything aside from
No, I know
what I did to put the show together this week. So
I get it. Wow, I really drugged the show down in the beginning, and I couldn't pull out of it. I don't know what. Oh my God.
Somewhere it's helping you, Matt.
Well, it's
no. Dude, like I wasn't going to stop you.
Nobody's going to stop me.
I'm just saying, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do.
Matt, stop talking about your feelings.
Fuck your feelings.
Hey, Fruity, leave your feelings back over there and come do the show.
Well, it's just, you know what, man, because I just kind of want people to understand where I'm sitting. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here trying to, hold this interview, but I'm still thinking about this. And
yeah, I mean,
then it didn't even dawn when I booked the guy. It didn't even dawn on me. I that would be fun to talk about. I saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it's like, wow, he's a cancer survivor. So I'm going to, fuck. It was maybe a bad choice.
Yeah. Made it work. It happened to be his anniversary for his, for the surgery that saved him. So, it was kind of a positive.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
all worked out, man. It all worked out.
No, it did. It did. Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. How should we run the C block?
And open up with just the tips. Then
I've got because I've got the Rap Snacks report. I've got just the tips. I've got our real talk, and then the TikTok nonsense corner. I might save the real talk for later because that's sort of there wasn't anything time sensitive in that.
no, there isn't.
Right, so we'll do Rap Snacks, TikTok corner, and we'll do Rap Snacks at the end. We'll come in with just the tips, and then we'll do the TikToks.
Those real talks, if they're the ones I'm thinking of, the Gen X guy and that other chick.
Yeah.
If we ever we might something to hold on to for a bead block where we're struggling.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I saved them to my saved reels, and I saved things there that I haven't necessarily shared here. So
yeah,
we'll just go and we can dive into there and grab bits and pieces out of it. All right, so
now I can send you all the reels that I watch and go, oh, these would be great on the show.
I suppose you could.
Pete, you can send whatever the fuck you want to put on the show.
I try not to overwhelm you guys because I sit home and do almost nothing.
Dude, let me tell you something. Honestly, that's a problem. I stop myself from sending because I'll be like, oh, I gotta send this to the show. And then the next one, I'm like, oh, I gotta send this to the show. I'm like, no, I can't send every TikTok I see to the show. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, see, I get into that. Or I'll send stuff to my friends.
Yeah. But
and I have to stop, Pete. You're keeping them awake. You know.
Well, that's the nice thing about sending it to the link list is nobody sees it until Mike goes to do the show. It sits there.
So, real quick before we start, I sent one to you privately this week, Matt. It was a reel. I got your mental illness. You give that back. My mother gave that to me. That was a gift from my mother.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
I laughed so hard when I saw this. I got to send that to Matt. All right. So we're coming in hot with just the tips. Let me get my screen share up. And we're back on this C block here on the Media Virus Podcast with Just the Tips, number 31. Just the Tips with Stanley McFadden.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Media Virus Podcast. It is I, the one and only, the Love Doctor, proud professor, big technology graduate from the U of V, bringing to you another episode of Just the Tips. Tonight's episode is episode number 31. Now, having reviewed several of my own episodes, I noticed a theme, and a few other people have noticed that there has been a prevalent theme of giving ladies giving your man blowjobs. And I don't think you ladies understand how incredibly and universally vitally important that is. It's a very important thing. Why, you may ask? See, giving a proper blowjob with enthusiasm is one of very few things that you can do for your man that doesn't directly give you pleasure. And therefore, it is a sign, it is a symbol, it is a demonstration that his pleasure is important to you. That's part of what makes it so beautiful, so important, so necessary in a relationship. It's necessary in a relationship that you show your partner selflessness, that you are willing to focus on his or her pleasure at not necessarily at the cost of your own, but at the cost of your own delayed enjoyment, your delayed sexual satisfaction. So when you're grabbing that dick, when you're sucking that dick, try to remember that the reason why you're doing it is to preserve that relationship. Ladies, it's really for you. And on that note, I would like to introduce the idea of what I like to call a BJ and a half. You see, generally speaking, some of y'all ladies are really selfish with your blowjobs. Go down there for 3.5 licks, 30 seconds at max, and you come up. Are you ready yet? No, bitch, I was enjoying it. It's feeling good to me. So ladies, what I'm gonna suggest is that you loosen up them jowls. Take that man to completion. Swallow that load, spit it if you have to, if it's, filling up. Do what you gotta do. Take that load to the face. Then continue, making out or whatever. Give that man a minute to recover. Go down on him again. Then get him hard again. Then continue with penetrative sex. It's a blowjob and a half. There. If you are expecting him to perform cunnilingus on you to completion, and by the way, y'all don't give us any warning. I'm sitting there fucking drowning, and I don't get any warning. So, do better with that, or, be a little bit forgiving when we don't give warning. Sometimes it does go from 0 to Splash Mountain in 1.5 seconds, and I ain't enough time to tap you on the head. Anyway, that means blow that man to completion, give him a minute, and then take him back to erection. Then you can have your penetrative sex. Blowjob and a half. Because we all know that second nut is the good one. Sometimes, we got to knock that first one out so we can get to the second one and last a little bit longer. So ladies, this is a way for you to benefit off of that. Again, it's for you. Blowjob and a half. Try it out. Let me know how it goes for you. All right. Matter of fact, try it out. Call into the show. Send us an email. Let us know how that worked for you. That's why we're here. This has been another episode of Just the Tips. Stanley McFadden proudly presenting to you Media Virus Podcast, episode number 31, BJ 1.5. Until then, happy sucking, happy fucking.
So we've moved beyond just fellatio. We now need to. It's a lot of good information for the young ladies out there trying to preserve their relationships. Stanley would know because he's a guy.
We're now at blowjob 1.5.
One isn't good enough. It's 1.5.
Speaking of one not being good enough, I'm going to slide into the TikTok corner.
Oh, with TikToks, one is too much, but it's never enough.
Like Lay's potato chips.
That's right.
Can't have just one.
No, you can't. Where did my cursor? There we are.
Don't curse at me.
With March being National Women's Month, I assume that's why we put this up.
Yes, I want to remind women that it's Women's History Month, and women are strong.
Women are strong, beautiful, and capable of violent crime. This Women's History Month, or should I say Her History Month, I want to take a look at women's futures. A future that supports women in crime. Ladies, it's time to shake up this male-dominated industry. There's nothing worse than turning on the news and seeing another massive tragedy that was carried out by a man. Well-behaved women seldom make history. So ladies, start terrorizing your local communities today and secure that Netflix special. Say yes to woman in violence. Yes, she can commit domestic terrorism. She believed she could, and so she did. mutilate a family of 5. Nevertheless, she persisted into the victim's home. Put the her back in butcher. I've been found guilty of slaughter? No. I've been found guilty of vehicular woman slaughter. It's /her, not /him. Happy Women's History Month, ladies, and I hope to see you in federal prison.
Remember, it's /her, not /him.
Okay.
Uh,
And we've got our 3 wide that we love so much here on the show.
I do enjoy that we don't know which one's going to start. Oh, it's this one.
Are you a depressed bag of crap who can't seem to get over your case of the saddies? Well, buckle in, Dumpo. It's time to pull yourself up by the croc straps and follow me to Happy Town. I'm so happy. If you feel sad, you might just be dehydrated. Try drinking a big cold glass of vodka. Another great way to turn that frown upside down is to put on a hot shower and write fun messages in the mirror. And finally, listen to the wise words of the sage man who cut in front of me at the grocery store yesterday. Why don't you just smile more, you stupid cunt?
There you go. Just smile more.
Just smile more.
That's good advice for anybody, really.
Sexism is alive in America. Went to get an oil change and all white cis males laughed at me and told me to get lost. Probably jealous I drive a Tesla and they don't.
Oh
Okay.
Fuck, those sexist pricks would not change the oil in her Tesla.
terrible. Terrible.
Fucking sexist assholes.
Oh my God.
Right.
Probably didn't even check the blinker fluid for her.
Jesus.
Or the muffler bearings.
Muffler bearings.
There's a long list of parts.
Really? That was today? Did you get anything?
Yes, I did.
Did you get the English award?
No, that was Randy Evans.
Oh. Did you get the math award?
Nope, also Randy Evans.
Did you get the history award?
No, that was Heather in my class and also Randy Evans.
Did you get the reading award? Or is that also Randy Evans? Well, what did you get?
I got detention for yelling, "Fuck Randy Evans. How'd he get all these fucking awards?"
That's what I would have gotten too.
And another triple.
As somebody who was sued by his own city for publishing things the city didn't want published, including police misconduct files, it particularly vexes me when I watch the government sue journalists over journalism. Say what you will about Tucker Carlson, say what you will about Fox News, say what you will about what happened on January 6, 2021. Let's talk about Chuck Schumer for a minute. You see, after Carlson's recent reporting on the Capitol riots, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer didn't just put out a tweet, Facebook post, press release, didn't even just hold a press conference. No. He used his position of power, his position of authority as the leader of the Senate to excoriate a private news agency for saying things he didn't like, for showing you things that Chuck Schumer doesn't think you should be able to see. He said it was a threat to democracy without realizing the irony of using his position of, shall we say, institutional privilege to attack the First Amendment. That should vex everybody. Cheers.
Is it me? Or is his mustache also plaid?
His mustache is also plaid. I am just noticing that. Is that a faded rebel flag? Is that a yellow rebel flag in the background? Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, what is going on behind him?
Just picking that up right now.
Yeah, probably a faded rebel flag, because there is a Jim Beam label over there on the other side.
All right.
Huh.
And too many mismatched plaids, just saying.
You know, are they mismatched or perfectly matched?
Hey, Buddy, you want to pay attention to the road? You just cut me off back there.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? What are you doing? We're going flamingo dancing. Next thing I know, I'm getting cut off by a Prius.
Get out of the street.
You get out of the street with your reckless driving.
Jake! What is wrong with him?
I don't think so, buddy. Come
on. And I can't remember if we've used Puddles before, but I really like Puddles.
I love Puddles. He's great.
We won't go through the whole thing. It's long, but
Friday night and the lights are low, looking out for a place to go where they play the right kind of music, getting in the swing. You come looking for a king. Anybody could be that guy. The night is young and the music's high, with a bit of rock music, everything is fine. You're in the mood for a dance, and when you get the chance, you are the dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17.
So what do you think? What's your take on? I think this guy is fantastic.
I like his stuff. It's a good version of that song. I mean, I dig it.
Yeah.
But
I think his takes are very interesting.
Yeah, usually. You know.
I'm trying to think of the movie he was in right now.
I was looking at him and I was like, I know Peter Steele died. So I don't.
These were a couple that I couldn't get into the presentation because they wouldn't allow me to get them in the form that I typically do. So I've got to go to them live. So here we go.
Oh yeah, I forget which this one is. It's the fat electrician.
Today we're talking about that time that America blew up a whale. Yeah. And no, this is not going to be one of those times where a dead whale washes up on the shore, gets all bloated, and somebody pokes it with a stick. Nah, somebody from the government showed up with 1,000 pounds of TNT, stuffed it underneath a dead whale in an effort to either vaporize it and or yeet it back into the ocean.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
Our story begins in the state of Oregon in 1913. At the time, there were no major highways. Because of this, people treated the coastline and the beaches like they were a giant highway. Literally driving their cars and horse-drawn carriages up and down it all the time. Because of this, the governor at the time would declare all the coastline in Oregon from California to Washington as a public highway, which also meant that it was
That
public
answers
land.
the one question we had.
Of events that 57 years later would cause America to try to send the biggest animal on Earth, or at least a chunk of it, into outer space. Now, fast forward to November of 1970, a 45-foot, 16,000-pound whale washes up dead on the coast of Oregon. Obviously, this is a problem, or as a journalist on site that day described it,
a stinking whale of a problem.
Yeah, we've got this on tape. So, how do you handle such a problem? Well, if you were in California, you would call the California Coastal Commission. If you were in Florida, you would call the Florida Department of Environmental Protections. But because all the beaches in Oregon to this day are still considered highways, they ended up calling the State Highway Division, which is basically a bunch of construction workers. Now, this is some bureaucratic bullshit if I've ever heard it. There was absolutely a different agency that was more equipped to handle this situation, but it was probably a Friday and they didn't want to have to work late. So they pulled the old, well, technically card and sent in the construction workers. And all those guys heard was, you get to go home as soon as the whale is gone, to which they promptly said, get the dynamite, we're going home early. Which is like the ultimate Uno reverse card, because they turn this losing scenario into the ultimate win-win scenario. Not only are they going to get to go home early, they're also never going to get told to do this dumb shit again, and they get to be the guys that blew up a whale with dynamite. And the best part is they've got an airtight defense, because when you're doing government work, everybody knows that when you don't know what you're doing, you just fall back onto your standard operating procedures. And what do you do when you're building a road and there's an obstruction in the way? Like, I don't know, a mountain. You blow it the fuck up. Mountain, whale, potato, potato, get the fucking dynamite, we're doing this. Now, obviously, there's some more common sense solutions that we could have done. Like, I don't know, maybe cut it into smaller pieces or burn it. The head engineer in charge of the construction workers was asked that very question, to which he responded,
It couldn't be cut up and then buried because nobody wanted to cut it up.
And then, of course, there's the obvious question, what if this doesn't work? What if there's still a giant chunk of whale left over? To which he responded,
If there's any large chunks left, we may have to do some other cleanup, possibly set another charge.
See, this guy knows what's up. It was never a question of whether or not blowing it up would work. The only question there was how much TNT was it going to take? And if you didn't use enough the first time, double tap. That's accuracy by volume. This is how America was built. Or unbuilt. Whatever. Anyways, let's stop beating around the bush and just show this whale getting blown up. Play the clip.
In episode 2, you can
Didn't
watch.
see that today, did you? Okay, you just saw that and I just saw that, but let's go ahead and hear what the reporter on the ground had to say about it.
With a blasted blubber beyond all believable bounds.
Dude's got bars. That's fucking poetry. I hope he gets a raise. Now, as I'm sure you noticed, there was giant chunks of meat still falling out of the sky like 3 seconds after the explosion. Thankfully, however, nobody was actually struck and severely hurt by one of those. However, I think I speak for all of us when I say how much damage would that actually do. Thankfully, as luck would have it, a car a quarter mile away in a parking lot that was empty was struck by one of these meteorites. And here's a clip of it.
Of one large chunk, the passenger compartment literally smashed. Fortunately, no human was hit as badly as the car. However, everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale.
Okay, first of all, how are you going to explain that to your insurance? Nobody's going to believe that shit. Secondly, do you know how much fucking force it takes to cave in the roof of a car? Those are reinforced and designed to withstand the rollover of the vehicle. So I think it's safe to say these meat mortars can do damage. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Probably the most significant piece of news to ever come out of the state of Oregon. I mean, the only thing that could make this story better is if this was actually the final level of the Oregon Trail video game growing up. Not only that, it is probably the most significant scientific contribution that the trades industry has ever made. Because these guys just figured out that a 16,000-pound whale can in fact be deleted by 1,000 pounds of dynamite. Meaning that we now actually know for sure that it's a 16-to-1 blubber to black powder ratio. This is invaluable information. In conclusion, just so we're all clear on the timeline of significant human events. In 1966, America would make one giant leap for mankind when we created the Mark 19, aka a machine gun that shoots fucking grenades. Then, not knowing where to direct our superior scientific endeavors, we just stole the Soviets' goal of putting a man on the moon and did it first to prove a point. That was in 1969. And then we got back to making real scientific contributions to mankind when we figured out how much TNT it took to delete a whale. America. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Whale gone. Quack bang out.
I think that was the first time Pete saw that, but if you go back and watch episode 2 of the Media Virus podcast, we took a deep dive because it was the 50th anniversary.
Yes.
It was the 50th anniversary. And if I'm remembering it correctly, and Oregon had just legalized all drugs.
Yeah. Not for nothing, but I think they did that storyline on The Boys. They blew up a whale on an episode of The Boys.
The Boys, is that show where everybody's gay?
No, it's the one about the superheroes and the
corporate. It's the show. It's the show where only the people watching it are gay.
Oh, okay. Damn, man.
So here was the other one we have to do live.
I don't remember this at all. Dark humor. Okay. Sounds like me.
Slaves built the pyramids. Slaves built the Parthenon. Slaves built America. Slaves, this is your song. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Thank you. Slaves. Slaves. This is your song. Thank you.
That slaps.
I gotta stop. So many gummies.
That was terrific.
I thought that would be well received. Always played them in the spirit in which I received them.
I have so much to do tomorrow.
Seriously though, if you want to sit down, the audiobook says it takes 6 hours.
6.5, yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not a big reader, but I'm more than halfway through the book, and maybe I did put 6 hours into it, or 3 hours into it. Yeah, maybe. But it's you know what? It's worth it. It's like I said, I don't like reading. Yet I'm going to finish
media.
Yet I'm going to finish this book, and hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you read one this year?
Yeah. Had I finished the book, I was going to tell him that he would have been only 3 books in my entire life that I've ever finished, read from front to back, and not went to the Cliff Notes or anything like that. And those books are The Gates of Fire, which is a telling of the Battle of Thermopylae, the Marilyn Manson autobiography. Read that front to back. And then once I finish this, it'll be number 3, baby.
Oh. You never did Catcher in the Rye?
You never did the readathon when you were in grade school?
No, fuck that.
Catcher in the Rye is a good one.
I've heard sociopaths enjoy that book. Is that
sometimes? But I mean, I've read it a handful of times. For a while I kept it in my briefcase.
Maddie, keep an eye on DePico.
But for a while I kept it in my briefcase at work.
Yeah.
Where it could be seen. Just because. But nobody got the joke, so I stopped carrying.
Nobody. It's a high functional joke. I'd have gotten it because I'm mediocrely functional.
And even people. Oh, what are you reading? Oh, Catcher in the Rye. Oh, that's an older one. Didn't you read that in high school? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I want to read it again. And so many people just didn't get it. It was frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a day and age where,
why was it so controversial?
Because
there's something about the protagonist that appealed to people with personality disorders.
That and Mark David Chapman had
I never read it.
Mark David Chapman had a copy in his pocket when they arrested him after he shot Lennon.
Okay.
So, what he didn't have in his pocket, he did not have a pack of Rap Snacks.
That is my understanding. But apparently Stanley has had Rap Snacks recently and wants to give us his report on Rap Snacks. So, ladies and gentlemen, we go to our BBC.
Back to our BBC correspondent
for his report on Rap Snacks.
The Media Virus Podcast presents a Stanley McFadden production. Big Daddy proudly brings to you
Big Daddy tries Rap Snacks.
Rap Snacks? I don't want to try no fucking Rap Snacks. All right, let me see this. All right, we got Rap Snacks, Notorious B.I.G. Honey Jalapeno. Let's try these out. How bad could it be?
Honey Jalapeno actually sounds pretty good.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? I'd like to welcome to the stage. First things first, I pop freaks all the honey, dummy, play. I can fill you with real millionaire shit. That's cargo, my cargo. Oh, check it out.
I like this. Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's Peter Griffin, isn't it?
This right here is for you, man.
No, see, me not having any creativity in my body whatsoever, assumed that once he put the chip into his mouth, his clothes were going to change into a very stereotypical, because he was dressed in a very, non-threatening way, I guess. And I thought it was going to, he was going to have like a do-rag and a chain and such.
No, you
But
just
no,
get
he
shot.
took it in a different direction where everyone, not just cops, he started with cops, his gang members. The Terminator at some point was shooting at him.
I'm gonna upload this to our TikTok channel.
Yes, I was going to say that needs to be a media virus TikTok. So we can pollute TikTok with our content, and the gunshots are fucking terrific.
The Media Virus Podcast presents.
Stop.
What's that now?
It just started over.
Oh. Well, that was our show, guys. Thanks for checking out. Thanks for tuning in.
We're sorry.
We're sorry. But you can always give us a call at 646-VIRUS01. That's 646-VIRUS01. Tell us how shitty the show was. You can send me an email to tell me at Matty@themediavirus.com, PML@themediavirus.com, Pete@themediavirus.com. You can check out our guest at JohnBennardo.com. You can pick up his book on Amazon, Just a Typo, the cancellation of Mo Riverlake. Did I miss anything, Mike?
No, but I just want to mention that at JohnBennardo.com, it's John Bennardo, BENNARDO.com. You can link out to all that stuff. All of his content's available right there from his website. A couple of pictures of him. He actually he reminds me of a younger, thinner, a little more handsome Vic Tayback. You may remember Vic Tayback as Mel from Alice's from the show. Alice. He was the guy who owned Mel's Diner.
I was trying to place where I recognized him.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, all right, okay.
And I think that's about all I have. Like Matt said, 1646-VIRUS01 get you in on the phone. TheMediaVirus.com get you to our web content. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Media Virus Podcast. On behalf of Grease Monkey Pete, our guest John Bennardo, our fearless leader Matty Rockduff, I'm Professor Mike Latoris, coming from to you live high atop Uncle Butch Studios. We'll see you next week. real daylight savings time.
Yes.